I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to more live real-world racing here on the National Racing Network. Today, it is the Stars and Cars of the Spec Corvette Series presented by Nankang Tires, taking on Virginia International Raceway. You're going to go, wait a minute, Virginia, that's on the east. These guys normally do the West Coast thing. We're doing both. Absolutely thrilled to have this race as part of the Mid-Atlantic Road Racing Series. Coming to you from VIR, this is kind of a north-south shootout for the Spec Corvette Series. My name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us and tune in here on what is a beautiful Sunday afternoon. You'll notice, though, as we pull the graphics down here, there's some clouds there right out the front as we look out the front of the 63 of Jeffrey Pascal. There is definitely some weather that is rolling in to VIR here this afternoon. Quite frankly, one of the great American road courses, very, very fast. These Spec Corvettes are going to absolutely roar to life. Spec Racer 4 has just finished. You'll see that Jeffrey is sitting here stationary in the paddock area, but they are going to be making their way out onto the racetrack here in just a moment. We'll slide over and pick up Brian Boyd's machine as well. You can hear the motor starting to rev up on that machine. We also have in-car cameras available with David Sanders. We'll fade on over and pick his up, and you'll hear some of these have some audio, some of them don't. But got to look at, let's see, we took a look at Brian's, took a look at David's. How about we pick up Cecil Stevens, another car that we've got to look out the front of here. And also, as we mentioned, we do have the onboard with Jeffrey Pascal as well. So we'll slide over and pick up Jeffrey's onboard here. These Challenge Series races are really a lot of fun and something that I'm excited to see the Spec Corvette Series do. They ran a couple of them last year. I know one, they went out to Lake of the Ozarks Speedway to run some of those. There's also, these kind of north-south challenge races. The national events are fun. They're pretty cool. But getting kind of local guys together on a more local basis is just going to be absolutely phenomenal. Once they get rolling out onto the racetrack, we will start bringing you the starting lineup. And actually, it's funny, with the cars off, you can hear my voice coming back through on the feedback loop. So we'll wait until once the motors start screaming a little bit here, we'll be able to get them out here. But let's do this. Tell you a little bit about VIR. It is a really interesting layout. Quite frankly, one of my favorites. We see it a lot on the iRacing platform, and we do a lot of those broadcasts from here. We have the ability to see 4 cameras courtesy of the Mid-Atlantic Road Racing Series. So it doesn't provide us a big view of the racetrack. Unfortunately, we can't bring those cameras to you because they are part of their feed. But you'll see there on the left-hand side of the graphic where the start-finish line is. You're going to make the run down to the horseshoe. Tight braking area, but you'll notice that corner opens up wide, and it kind of keeps just arcing and bending. That makes things very interesting as you get to NASCAR Bend. That is a hard left-hand turn, a little bit of a shot into the left hook. That's more of a left hook, right hook combination almost, until you get all the way out to the S's. To the snake, I should say. the S's that come down towards the end of that straightaway, down towards the South Bend area, absolutely phenomenal the amount of speed that these cars are going to carry through there. South Bend, a little bit of a tricky left-hander into a dual apex at Oak Tree. Rest easy, Oak Tree. The old one, unfortunately, torn down in the name of progress. And then it is a massive blast down the back straightaway, down in towards Roller Coaster, through the area to Hog Pen. You make that big right out of Hog Pen, you're back onto the front straightaway. There are so many A's and B's. It could be anywhere from 20-plus corners, if you named them individually, down to, I believe, like 15. 16 is what the number officially is here. But once again, thank you, everybody, if you're tuning in on YouTube or if you're watching over on the Facebook page, whether it's on the National Racing Network page or on the Spec Corvette Facebook page. We appreciate it. As always, if you're watching on Facebook, you can shoot some stars over, show you some support of the hard work. We take all of that money that comes back in, and we apply it right back towards the Spec Corvette Series. It basically helps decrease the cost of the broadcast for the series. So we appreciate all of that and quite frankly, helping to get more of these shows out on the air. Same deal on YouTube. You send us over a super chat, we're going to kick that right back into the Spec Corvette Series budget for the year to help grow these broadcasts. The official feed has come back on the air, and it looks like they are going to be getting ready to roll these cars off here in just a moment. There we go. Let's pick up David Sanders as he's making his way out onto the racing surface, and we will get ready to show you your starting lineup for this afternoon's race. Starting on the pole for today's event, out of Trinity, Florida, will be the number 25 of Bruce Griffin. Absolutely monster lap that Bruce put up, 2.7 seconds ahead of Deerfield Beach, Florida's Brian Boyd. But check out the numbers now, 209.307, the lap time record for Boyd. Cecil Stevens, he's close. That is really tight through the middle part of the field for Valrico, Florida's Cecil Stevens. 2.7 seconds back at a lap time of 209.313. Lining up on the outside of row number 2 will be Tampa, Florida's Frank Reinhardt in the number 53. Just a tick over 3 seconds off the pace of your pole sitter. Row number 3, a couple of Pennsylvania natives, one coming from the east, one from the west. The inside will have the 63 of Aston, Pennsylvania's Jeffrey Pascal. Again, 3.049 seconds. It is really, really tight in this part of the field. Lining up to the outside will be Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania's Mario Scaramouche in the number 153. Going to try to fandango himself up to the front of this field and at least up onto the podium. Row number 4 will have Wayne, New Jersey's Dominic Rizzo in the 26, alongside Middletown, Maryland's Charlie Abel in the number 39. Charlie going to be about 13 seconds back off the pace. Scheduled for row number 5 will be the 73 of David Sanders out of Malvern, Pennsylvania, and the 82 of Frank Deline from Wainscott, New York. Both of those drivers did not set an official lap time in qualifications earlier today. Split start in this one. The Spec Corvettes are going to line up together. Everybody else is going to be lagged back a little bit here. So we're getting, I'll say it this way, I'm getting really excited for this. We're going to keep our eye on just where everybody is going to be. We will bring the timing and scoring graphics up for you as well, so you can see where your favorite driver is running. Doing things ever so slightly different here. We're going to put the timing and scoring box up in the kind of on the left-hand side here, and we'll bring it up and make sure we get everything cropped out appropriately so you can see where your drivers are running. The East Coast guys run a version of timing and scoring that gives us a little bit better access to data. We will have all of that up for the next of these East Coast races that we're going to do. You'll also be able to see on a couple of these cameras, you'll notice multiple looks here. We'll pick up Bruce Griffin, and we'll fade on over to Bruce and pick him up here. There you'll see you got Bruce Cam in the upper right-hand corner. Oh, that motor just sounds so incredibly wonderful. Al, here we go. Hold on a second. Let me bring in, I'm just seeing him light up here, so let me turn his mic on. We'll bring in my co-host for the afternoon, Mr. James Watson. James, what's going on, buddy?
What's going on? Made it just in time.
Just in the nick of time. These guys are starting to get doubled up. I was talking a lot about VIR and how much I just absolutely love this place. And man, James, is there enough of a love story that we can tell about VIR?
I'd say so. VIR is an underrated circuit. It has to be one of the best in the country. There's not a single corner on this place that's easy to deal with. That every corner needs you to be on your absolute game. When it comes to iRacing, like, it usually takes me like a couple laps to be able to get around the track well enough. It took me an hour before I was able to complete a lap without dying.
Oh, this is fantastic. Green flag's out. We're off down towards turn number 1. Looks like it's going to be the 39 at Charlie Abel trying to make the move work on the outside. Oh, here comes the cross. Big tail wag out of the front row. They're still side by side. Oh my goodness. The battles throughout this pack. Let's flip over, pick up Jeffrey Pascal. You can see the whole line of Spec Corvettes is their first time screaming up through the S's. Man, I'll tell you what, James. In fact, we may be seeing some rain droplets on the front windshields of these cars. Up over the crest down the hill, that's where these things are going to get really tricky. If the rain starts to fall, oh man, that's kind of pucker factor Zulu time in these Spec Corvettes.
Oh boy. Please let it rain. That's going to make this race even crazier.
First time through Oak Tree, leaders still nose to tail. This is where I talked about the huge blast down the back straightaway. So much speed. This is actually long enough and fast enough that the draft will come into play here for these guys.
It really will. That's the thing, and that's what makes it interesting is that at Pass Along straightaway here, it's a really tough set of corner. If you're not careful, you can just eat it off the grass incredibly easy. Like here, this is one of the hardest corners because you have such a blind behind apex. So if you're just off in timing turning in, it's gonna end very poorly. Especially with the rain. Yeah, these cars don't stop blowing grass.
Oh, we're seeing a big cloud of dust up ahead of David Sanders. That's your race leader. One of the other classes having a big off track. This race scheduled for 12 laps or 30 minutes, whichever comes first. And James, a big one we have to say to the drivers here, a huge thank you to these guys. You'll see the Sentinel branding at the top of a lot of these cameras. These are drivers that have made the investment to put the data loggers and, importantly for us, the cameras in the cars. We have multiple looks. We'll pick up Cecil Stevens here. We've got an out the front and out the back look and a look at the driver's seat.
Yeah, this is incredible. Like, feels like we're in a whole new ball game. with all the telemetry we have. Like, this makes our job a heck of a lot easier.
The last one of these we did, James, we were sending messages back and forth going, I'm lost. We had 1 or 2 functioning cameras. Timing and scoring was not working. It was a mess and out of our control. But man, oh, these are so much fun getting to see these guys just absolutely rip around VIR.
Yes, although my heart does sink every time they go through Oak Tree.
Yes. That's right. Rest easy, old oak tree. Hope you found a new life as some paper or something. Maybe a nice piece of furniture.
Oh.
Stevens having the look. Oh, buddy. That's the 70 of Brian Boyd just up ahead. Let's flip over. We'll pick up Brian Boyd now. Just ahead of him is the 53 of Frank Reinhardt, as lap number 2 is coming to a very rapid conclusion. The battle at the front of the field is still incredibly tight. We just don't have a look at it. David Sanders, Charlie Abel, 0.3 of a second apart at the line.
Yeah, it's a pretty healthy gap at the place. Hard to...
Oh, what a dive! Wow! Big dive by Brian Boyd. And James,
sirens going on that.
yeah, here you go, James. I'll put that on for you. So now you're good to go. Now you can see everything that I'm seeing.
Thank you. The best I could watching the live broadcast feed. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Already catching up to some of the slower class cars as well. Oh,
Yeah, that's
so much curb.
Really interesting because there's not a whole lot of places to pass on this track. So you need to be really patient with slower class cars, not doing anything too stupid that will end up in the barriers for both cars.
Spec Corvette's running up the S's, and you're going to see very shortly, looks like one of the faster class cars may come screaming by here just on the left of these guys really shortly. And again, James, one of my favorite things about watching these Spec Corvette races, the fact that we are able to put racing out there that is, it's just close. The guys at the front are close to each other. The guys in the middle are close to each other. The guys at the back are close to each other.
Yeah, that's the thing. We always get a lot of good racing outside of the occasional Ollie Thordersit or Mark blowout. We do get a whole lot of close, hard racing. And it's always clean too. That's what always impresses me about this series is you don't see a whole lot of rubbing, you don't see a whole lot of argy-bargy. You don't see any dumpage.
Yeah, actually on board here now with race leader David Sanders. I forgot we had to look out the back window. You can see in the upper left-hand corner, Charlie Abel is right there. Call it maybe 4 or 5 car lengths, but it's not much. The other thing I love about watching these cars at VIR is, like this area through Oak Tree, it's up and down on the way into it. Big shots up over the curbs. It's a lot more elevation change than the track initially looks like. And the setups to the corners are often either they're going to cross you up or they're just outright off camber. As the battle for the lead is side by side, Abel having to look up the inside. It's going to be swift to the left and a quick hook back to the right. What a move by Charlie Abel.
That was a no-doubter.
Yeah, that's getting it done right there.
Now, is Sanders going to have the run back up into turn 1?
Gosh, that's like 2 car lengths separating these two. Oh, he's going to think about it.
Around the outside.
Here comes, is he going to try the crossover there? Try to set up for the crossover. What a move by Abel. Keeps that car down on the inside. I don't think there was any contact there. Little bit of a wiggle out of Abel. Oh, man. Little stab of the brakes.
That was some great defensive driving. Absolutely fantastic defense. Sanders could do nothing about that.
That battle is really good. We also have Jeffrey Pascal, Frank Reinhardt, and Cecil Stevens that are all going to be pretty much in line with each other. Let's flip over real quick. Pick up the onboard of the 63 of Pascal. I believe that was Griffin just ahead of Brian Boyd doing a little Luke Bryan. Kick the dust up. No harm, no foul. He stays back out on the racetrack. Let's go back on board with the race leaders, though, as we are down to 7 laps to go. Just about 10.5 minutes on the board. So another, 19 minutes left to go, I believe. Plenty enough time to get this race in under the clock. This fight for the lead in Spec Corvette is also the battle for 7th overall. Whoa, hold on to it! Wow, what a save by Pascal! Oh my goodness. Full oppo lock with one of the prototypes coming through. Oh, that was wild. Now, James, you've driven these before out at Willow Springs. Do they get as light as they look? I mean, it looks like when they crest some of these hills, like there's just no grip underneath you until the car settles again.
Oh, for sure. Corvettes haven't always been known for their handling capabilities. They're made with power in mind. So because of that, they don't always drive how you hope they would. So you're really having to work with that and work with what the car is giving you. And sometimes the car just wants to give you nothing but attitude. And if you want to be fast in this car, you have to deal with that attitude somehow. And that's what we see. Like it's going to make you get sideways. It's going to make you kind of miss the apex a little bit. You just got to work with it as best as you can, but it is not easy.
Josh Carroll checking in the comments. Let's see. We'll find the comments and pull them up here for you. Stoked to see Charlie Abel giving Dave Sanders some pressure. This is fun to watch at the front of this field. And quite frankly, you mentioned a couple of the names from the West here, James. When we're seeing Ole Thorderson and Mark LaCour and John Wynn and Josh, for that matter, and these guys start really giving each other hell, it is fun to watch because they are 99% of the time so clean about how they get this racing done. It's fun. And quite frankly, they're racing it so clean because they know they got to fix it if they break it.
Yeah, and plus they know each other so well. They've been sharing the track for a long time. So when you have that familiarity with the cars around you, it allows you to race them a little harder because you know that the likelihood of it ending poorly for both parties isn't that high because you know the tendencies of the other driver and what they're going to do. So that also aids in the great battles we see on a monthly basis.
Oh, big lockup. I think that's a Mustang just ahead of race leader David Sanders. That might be a Camaro, actually. Whoever it is, just ahead of David Sanders, had a big lockup going into turn 1. And that's one of the things here, James, is that it's not just the race between Abel and Sanders. It's the fact that you got to try to get around some of these other cars, too. That actually even looks like a NASCAR late model type car, or at least a stock car type body on that.
That's awesome.
This is a big holdup of Charlie Abel. Oh, we've got one off the racetrack. Pascal's off the racetrack. He slides off wide, gets it back on. Now we go back to the race lead. Oh, man, what a holdup for Sanders.
Side by side. Woo.
Charlie Abel, that's him way up in the distance up there. Oh, but he dips a wheel off. Gosh, Oak Tree, such a difficult corner to get right. A double apex, and if you screw it up, you really screwed it up, and you're giving up a ton of time down this back straightaway.
Yeah, double apex corners like that are always hard to deal with, especially when you, like you said, when you have this long straightaway. Hey, if you mess up Oak Tree just any form, it's absolute nuke your lap time, and more than likely nuke whatever battle you're in.
Down to 5 to go, and the gap is closing between Abel and Sanders. Give you a look, because these guys are a little bit far apart from each other. Let's give you a look here with Bruce Griffin. Bruce giving you a good look here. You can see how he's kind of rocking and rolling in the driver's seat there. Oh, big straight line.
That's not how you want to take that.
Man, we talked about how rough it is. You got to see it there. Flip over. We'll go on board with Brian Boyd. He'll give you the same kind of look as he gets down towards turn number 1. Drove it really deep into that corner, gaining up a bunch of time on Bruce Griffin. These two are going to be separated by 4, maybe 5 car lengths. Also have the onboard available with Cecil Stevens. He's just back behind Brian Boyd. Same deal. You'll see the effort that goes into driving these things. You hear that little bit of off throttle. Let the car kind of come back to you before you start trying to tear through the S's. A sign of a smart race car driver.
Precisely, because we've seen what happens if you're not kind to these S's.
Looks like we may have lost the feed from David Sanders' car, unfortunately. Trying to reset it from our end here, but we'll see what we're able to get. Charlie Abel crosses the line 1.7 seconds ahead of David Sanders with 3 to go. Bruce Griffin's going to be the next one across the line, followed by Brian Boyd, then Cecil Stevens. These cars all running in line. There you see just ahead, just barely you could see out the front window. There's that red machine of Brian Boyd. We'll go back on board with Brian. And you can look just ahead and pick up Bruce Griffin. So Stevens holds on to 5th. Frank Reinhardt just coming across the line in the 6th position. Jeffrey Pascal will be next across the line in 7th. Then in order it should be Dominic Rizzo, Mario Scaramouche, and Frank Deline. And James, the nature of these cars being spec Corvettes, limited in what you can do to the motor, but there's also some limits on what you can do in terms of the suspension adjustments that you can make on these cars and the components that you can swap out. Penske Shocks, the official shock supplier of the Spec Corvette Series. But just because you put a racing shock on, it also means you then have to tune it. And that can be really tricky in a place like this, as the clouds look even darker running out ahead of them.
Yeah, man. Shock tuning, that just feels like a foreign language at times. It's always been difficult. Well, that learning shock tuning is when I kind of realized that, yeah, maybe working on race cars really isn't for me, because I did not know what I was doing. Thankfully, the guys on this track know what they are doing, but even still, even if you know what you're doing, shock testing and shock tuning and all the little changes and adjustments you have to make shim wise and all that it's not easy. Hey, like, you can make like hundreds of thousands, if not millions, in the racing business if you're really good at tuning shock. That just shows you how intensive it is. And it's a lot harder at a place like this. You have all the elevation change, all the off-camera corner, all the hard curbs. Like, you need to have something that's a good balance. Otherwise, it's just going to throw the car right off the track if you have the shock diff, and you're not going to get any grip if it's too soft. So that's another big problem that our drivers are having to deal with this weekend.
That is so rough through that section of racetrack, up over the curbs.
Yeah, like that's what always trips me out about the S's here, is that they're flat out, but they don't feel flat out. Like, when you're going through them, you're always kind of thinking, maybe I should let off through here.
Discretion is the better part of valor. Until 100%. It's not. So we are officially seeing white flag in the air. 1 lap to go. Charlie Abel holding a 4.1 second lead. Oh, that is a fantastic piece of information. Thank you very much, Josh Carroll. Get this one up. I'll have to go to the YouTube comments to see the whole thing, but Cecil lost his engine during test on Friday. He and the other racers rallied to get it swapped in the paddock before qualifying on Saturday. That's awesome.
That's awesome. That level of sportsmanship, man, that's what makes racing worthwhile. You don't see it too often in some forms, but when you do see it, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, this is a group of people that love their cars. They love their Corvettes, and quite frankly, it's no fun to play by yourself. You want to have somebody out there on the racetrack with you. And we're seeing it here. Brian Boyd making up the ground on Frank Griffin. Excuse me, Bruce Griffin. Sorry, Bruce. Looking at Frank Reinhardt's name on timing and scoring. Checkered flag is out on the racetrack. Next time under the stripe will be your official finishing order. Can Charlie Abel hold off David Sanders for a big win here in the North-South shootout? Can Brian Boyd?
Whoa, there's one out there trying to plant their own oak tree.
I would be okay with that. We need oak tree back. Over the line, great run by Sanders, but Charlie Abel will pick up the win here at VIR. David Sanders comes home second. Next across the line will be Bruce Griffin. But we're going to stay right here with this battle for third. That's Griffin just up ahead of the 70 of Brian Boyd.
Ooh, I think he's got a better run.
Off the final corner, they're going to drag run down to the line under the checkered flag, third place. Well, it's going to go two. He tries the move, not quite there. Bruce Griffin holds on for third. Nice run for Brian Boyd up into the fourth position. Let's pick up Cecil Stevens as he's going to be the next one to get out over the start-finish line. He has finished his race up. Frank Reinhardt, Jeffrey Pascal back to the 7th position. Dominic Rizzo finishing this one in 8th. 9th to Mario Scaramouche, and Frank Deline will round out the top 10 here at VIR. What a fantastic race as we go back on board here with Brian Boyd. Oh man, James, I'll tell you what, these guys never disappoint. Spec Corvette is always just a fantastic race to watch.
It always is, and I love broadcasts. I love watching. We always see them put on an absolute show. There's always at least one or two epic battles that are race long.
There you just saw Brian kind of pull up alongside the 25 of Bruce Griffin, gave him the wave out the window like, hey, that was fun, good race, let's do this again soon. And quite frankly, it's about ready to do that for us on the broadcast here as well. Hope you all enjoyed the show that we got to put on here for you. Thank you, everybody that tuned in on YouTube, whether you're watching on the National Racing Network Facebook page, the Spec Corvette Series Facebook page. A great weekend of racing at VIR will come to a conclusion. This was the last event of the weekend, and the track will go cold for, well, I would say probably another week or so at least, because VIR always has something going on. But with that, a fantastic show. Charlie Abel picking up the win over David Sanders and Bruce Griffin on the podium. Brian Boyd, Cecil Stevens, Frank Reinhardt, Jeffrey Pascal, Dominic Rizzo, Mario Scaramouche, and Frank Deline complete your field here this afternoon. James, I am looking forward to getting to do more of these. Check out SpecCorvette.com for full schedule information, how you can build one of these Spec Corvettes. One of the most cost-effective race series you will find is the Spec Corvette. And quite frankly, they're just big, loud, all-American V8 thoroughbreds. Make sure you check them out over there at SpecCorvette.com, and check out their list of sponsors as well. That's the folks that make all of these broadcasts happen. I have to say, in fact, we'll call most of them out by name. First, got to say a big thank you to G-Stream for their support. Also, Improved Racing. Nankang Motorsport Tires, the presenting sponsor of the Spec Corvette Series. Sparco providing the safety equipment. TPS Motorsports, thank you very much for your support. Track Spec Motorsports doing a lot of the aero work, and John Wynn and his guys doing, quite frankly, just a lot of the work in general. You need anything Spec Corvette, make sure you check out Track Spec Motorsports. Also, a big thank you to Turn 1 for your support, and Willwood Brakes, the official brakes of the Spec Corvette Series. With that, now time for us to get the heck on out of here. A fantastic show this afternoon, courtesy of the Spec Corvette Series, presented by Nankang Tire. Until the next time, thank you very much for tuning in. We hope to talk to you all soon. Check us out if you're interested in any of the esports stuff as well. Just about every night of the week, you'll find something iRacing here on the National Racing Network. For James Watson and everybody here at NRN that makes these shows happen, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us. We will talk to you all soon. Have a great evening and a great rest of the weekend, everybody.